Well, hello, everyone. Good morning, team. Hopefully, we're all up and at it. Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Health Coffee Chat, folks. I think I can see a few of you there. Who we got online? Luke, good morning. Kevin, all the way from Florida. Great to have you in. Tim, good morning to you. Hopefully you're well, mate. Hopefully you're well. I think things are going all right. Let me know if you can hear me and see me well in the chat. Today, we've got a bit of a special guest, so hang around, folks. Don't go away. It's an auspicious day. It's auspicious because probably for the first time in about a year, I've got a guest on, and I think we're going to do that a bit more regularly. But in a minute, I'll introduce our guest. But big shout out to James, Alison, Chris, Harami. Great to see all of you guys here this morning as we're rolling along. Most of you know who I am. Jason Witten, but if you're brand new, if you are new, welcome to the show where we as mad keen property investors get together each morning, hang out for about 20 minutes and talk a bit of shop, talk about what's going on out in the world of property investing, talk ideas, talk inspiration, talk strategy, talk tactics, talk all sorts of things. But today our theme of conversation today is going to be about tax and maybe a few tips, strategies, ideas from our resident 6-star team member expert, Anthony Wolfenden from the Positive Tax team. So might bring Anthony on. Good morning, mate. How you going?
Yay!
Yes.
I had to unmute myself and through the pile of stuff I've got on the desk to make sure I could connect to the tools and communicate.
Mate, just off air, folks, Anthony was rumbling through about 15 boxes of stuff to try and get his iPad connected this morning, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. But that's all right. We will roll with it and see how we're going. But this morning, what we want to do is have a little bit of a chat about, the world of taxes, and Anthony has been heading up the Positive Tax team here as part of our 6-star team members that you get access to in the Positive crew. Also, Anthony is a financial planner, an avid property investor, along with his wife Megan, and a bit of a mad bicyclist as well. Bicycles or triathlons, Anthony, or a bit of both?
The knee reconstruction is sure that I don't run anymore, and I've had a lot of bike accidents, so swimming's hard to do. I'm still on the bike.
There you go. Well, welcome along, team. We're going to have a bit of a yarn about this, and if you've got, it says feedback sound from Anthony. Well, we'll see. We'll continue along, Alison. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we've got a little bit of technical difficulty, but let us know how we're rolling. But if you have any questions from Anthony or for Anthony this morning, put them in the chat, any tax questions. But let me sort of warm up the crowd here, Anthony, and we'll just get a bit of a lay of the land of what's going on. So, folks, tell me right now in the chat, what are the taxes? What are the taxes that we as property investors are exposed to, and what are the taxes we can manage? Let's say, what are the 4 main taxes that we are exposed to as property investors? The 4 main taxes that we get exposed to when we go investing. All right, what are they? Tell me in the chat right now as we lay a little bit of foundation for the conversation this morning. And Anthony will give us some tips on how we can manage, minimize, or maximize, depending on which way we're slicing and dicing this thing. There are 4 taxes that we're exposed to as property investors. What are they? Chuck them in the chat for me if you know. If you don't know, well, you're about to learn what they are and how we can do something about them. Chris has heard this before. He's all over it. He's all over it like a rat up a drain pipe. I don't know. Is the audio playing up for anyone else? Tim said there's no audio in Facebook. Let me know. We've got a little bit of technical difficulty this morning, but we'll see. We'll keep going. All right. The crew are on it. Your PAYG or income tax of whatever style, whether you're self-employed, whether you're employed, whatever it is, there's a tax you pay on the income you earn. That's number one. That's probably for most of us the largest expense over time when it comes to after our interest. All right. The second one we're exposed to when it comes to being a property investor is stamp duty. Now, often your accountant can't do much about that, but certainly as we purchase and how we do things, then we can have a bit of a sticky beak. The third one is land tax. We talked about that the other night, Anthony. We might even touch on that today. And the last one is capital gains tax. Now, that's the big kahuna. And I know, Anthony, you've prepared a few things on that one as well. So, folks, they're the three big taxes. They're the three big things. And why don't we have a bit of a yarn about those three, Anthony, as we go? I might make a few notes and we'll see how we roll. So, what are your tips? What's your feedback for the team listening in, Anthony?
Okay, so there's minimization techniques we can use for all of these taxes. The most obvious one is property investment to impact the PAYG. Most property investors, when they get started, the properties will run negative. There'll be depreciation. There'll be interest payments on loans. Initially, those interest payments are a significant portion of any loan. You might be only, but even if your principal and interest, all of those first few years, you're going to be paying principal interest. That's deductible for an investment property, and certainly in the initial part of your journey, that's going to bring down your PAYG. And if you are on payroll for someone, you should consider at the moment, we've talked about this before, doing a PAYG variation.
PAYG variation. Variation. And so right now, we were talking about this the other night.
Yes.
For everyone listening in, I've turned Anthony's audio down a little bit. It sounds like it's a little bit muffled, but maybe try and swap microphones, Anthony, again. See if that might work. As we try and work out a little bit of the technical stuff here. So Anthony's talking about PAYG variation. So folks, that is depreciation, the cost of interest, it's your rates, it's your insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So these costs that we have in a PAYG variation process, we can use those to adjust our tax, Anthony. So for everyone listening in, go again.
Yeah, we want to do that live. So with increasing interest rate changes, maybe 2% points people might be paying. Maybe I think you're hearing an average to the press that punters are paying an extra $1,000 on their loans a month. If you do a variation and you're in the average tax bracket, that might mean with a variation in place supported by the ATO security of your payroll might withhold from your paycheck each if you're a couple, so $150 a fortnight, $100 a fortnight. That will be now in your net pay. That'll go in your bank account, will go in your offset, and so the amount of additional interest you'll have to pay is more likely to be $700 because you've got instead of getting the tax back at the end of the year, you're not paying in the first place.
So let's talk this through just quickly. Yeah. So let's talk step one. If someone's listening here, and there's some people who are already doing this and some people who haven't yet. So step one to do a PAYG variation is to get a letter done up by your accountant. Is that the first step?
Yeah, correct. So there are a couple of characteristics you need. You need to be on a payroll system. If you're self-employed, you sort of control your taxes a bit more, I guess. But if you're on payroll and you're a property investor and you typically get money back from the tax office at the end of the year, they're the things you want to check. If you're well into your journey and your properties are generating positive cash flow, and I mean, that's the goal in the end, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
It's not a useful scheme, but if you're early on in your journey and those characteristics are there, you work with your accountant to work out your actual rate of tax, the percentage that you're paying, and the letter is generated with salary because their property is running negative, so their taxable income is less.
So the accountant does that up, sends it off to the ATO, and the ATO gives it the tick of approval, yeah?
Correct. That then goes back because we capture in that process payroll details, the ABN of the employer and so forth. The ATO can communicate with payroll at the employer, whoever the employer happens to be, and says, hey, don't use the standard table for withholding. For this person, you can withhold less.
So then the employer / pay clerk, whoever does the payroll, wherever you work, then relies on that letter from the ATO to vary your taxes.
Yeah, it's getting pretty automated now, so there's not a lot of paperwork that needs to go around. But the net result is your pay slip looks different. The gross line is the same. It's whatever your compensation is that you've agreed with your employer.
Yep.
The tax withholding line, the number goes down, which is nice, which means the net line, which gets paid out to your bank account, goes up.
So let's talk about that just quickly, because this is the one that gets overlooked. Well, they're still saying they can't hear you very well, Anthony. Bugger. I don't know. Try a third microphone. Just try the laptop microphone or something. Yep. Just try that one. See if that works. And it could be maybe your internet connection at the same time. Maybe it's prioritizing something. No, that's not working at all now. Morning, Sean. No, that's terrible. Yep. Damn, Daniel. All right, we might just have to manage through with that one. Yeah, it might be up in on your preferences. There might be a different mic selected.
Is that any better, that one there, or is that still complete rubbish?
That one sounds better.
Okay, I'll go with that. I've turned off a bunch of the extra features that are all built into the thing to make it control it. So we'll just see if that goes, and I can play a bit with the gain. I'll leave it like that for now. We'll see if let's crack on. And
oh, we go there. That's good. We're on. All right. Okay. So if we talk about step 3 here, which is yep. There's a little bit of echo from me, but that's all right. So step 3 is that money comes back to your bank account, right? One of the things that it's important for everyone to appreciate and understand, folks, is that when that money comes back, it's more than normal, right? However, Anthony, what happens is it comes back at a lump sum, does it not?
well, it's coming in. Your paycheck's just bigger. What lands in your bank, and it should land every month or every fortnight, depending on your pay slip. What I do is I put everything that comes into my bank account goes straight into my offset. So it just means a little bit more money is going into the offset immediately. And I put everything in there. You know, my kids' savings account is in the offset. My kids' deposits that they're saving for buying their first property, it's in the offset. I've got an interest calculator. I'm going to pay them the 4%. I'm not going to pay the bank or the 5%. Every dime I've got spare is sitting in that offset because I do not want to pay non-deductible interest on my home loan, right?
Totally. And one of the things that's important to understand as well, Anthony and the team at Positive Tax, let you guys know, it's important to know that amount of money, Anthony, that comes over for that specific property or across your properties. Let's say, for example, folks, and I'll just try and sort of make this clear, let's say you received $4,000 a month, 1,000 of tax came out and your net was 3,000. All right. So that's your tax, that's your pay, and this is your net, right? So that's just a rough number. After the PAYG, you get your 4,000. Let's say your tax now is 800, and now you get net 3,200, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the number, right? What we need to do, ladies and gents team, is we need to make sure we identify that 200 and make sure we understand that 200, even if it's sitting in the offset account, is now allocated to the property or across your property portfolio for extra stuff. E.g., sometimes, Anthony, we need buffer. There might be emergency funds. that extra money needs to build up, let's say, for a renovation in the future, a build up for another deposit, whatever that might be. So
It's
we
not
need to
Christmas
identify
holiday
it.
travel funds.
That's right. That's right. So one of the things that we see often, ladies and gents listening in, is we lose track of, because it's just an increase in the income that comes in. It's just an increase. We lose track of the income that comes in. We kind of don't identify it and don't rationalize it, right? So that's important to do. I suggest you either track it on a spreadsheet, or even in some of those offset accounts or savings accounts. You can have splits. You can put your regular appreciation or your PAYG variation in. Keep track of it and understand it. That's what I think is an important one in there. Well, listen. We've only gotten to PAYG. We've got a few more minutes, Anthony. Why don't you just throw over the fence maybe a couple of ideas here, and we might circle around next Thursday for another Tax Thursday, folks, with Anthony, and he might dive into.
I almost don't want to talk about the CGT because I've got some really nice graphics for that one on what to do, and there's probably 5 or 6 techniques you can do to make a significant difference in the capital gains tax you pay when you sell, when you upgrade a property. Buy well and never sell is one technique. Buy well and upgrade is another. That will trigger a capital gains tax event. But if you plan for it well in advance, you can send a truckload less money to the ATO and keep a lot more for yourself, fully legally, of course. There are ways of doing that. I do have some graphics on that. I'll mention a couple of things that we want to do. There's the use of your superannuation. So you will lose short-term access to some of the funds, but you can pay dramatically less tax. And just think about it this way. If you do sell a property in your own name and you pay marginal taxes on that, again, we haven't talked about this at all, you may be up for 30% more tax in your own name than $1 you send across to your super. So your super would keep 30% more. You'd pay 30% less tax on that dollar, so 30 cents. So that's a really, really solid technique. You don't get to use that one too many times, but it's a good one. And then there's some bringing forward of expenses and a few other things we can do in the year of sale. You want to be very careful to pick the year in which you sell a property and make sure that in that year you maximize other expenses that might be property related and deductible. Or maybe you're having a year off work with no pay, or it's a sort of a long service, or it's a year when you're not doing extra hours. You just want to sync things up so income's low, expenses are high, and you absorb some of that capital gain into the difference.
Sweet, mate. Well, folks, I think we'll dive into that next Thursday. Let me know in the chat with a bit of a yes if you're keen on hearing from Anthony and how to minimise capital gains tax over your investing lifestyle. Give us a yes in the chat, and we'll book that in with Anthony. So, and one last thought as we go, for us and PAYG variations, we can pay some expenses in advance as well, and that can help with PAYG variations too if you have spare cash and capital at some point as well, isn't it? Yeah. All right, folks. Well, I think we'll leave it there. We got there in the end, but the technical difficulties gave us a little bit of a rough start. But great to have you on today, mate. Appreciate your time.
No worries. We'll be a little better prepared next time. It was a quick rush this morning. I look forward to coming back. There's a ton of stuff on each of those topics you've got up. So a little bit dry, perhaps, as a topic for the morning, but we could spend many days talking about it. You've got other things to cover as well, so I'm happy to come back as often as you guys want me.
All good. Well, we'll have a few coffees and get our tax minimisation on. All right, folks. Thanks. Join me tomorrow for another Wealth Coffee Chat. Till then, you guys take care. Bye for now.